Our State of the U.S. segment tonight, Women's March co-organizer Linda Sarsour spoke to a Jewish Voice for Peace conference in Chicago this week. She took that opportunity to attack Jews and Israel. Sarsour admitted that anti-Semitism does exist, how generous of her, but she said it doesn't compare to anti-black racism or Islamophobia. With me now, former IDF soldier and former NYPD officer Mika Danzig. Mika, what do you make of that?
It's a unbelievable tragedy on so many levels. First of all, that there's an organization called Jewish Voices for Peace, which is neither Jewish nor for peace by any semblance of either of those, the meaning of those words, would host an event with Linda Sarsour, who advocates for the elimination of Israel as a state regularly, and that they would not only host an event with Ms. Sarsour, where she was one of the principal speakers, but took the stage with Rasmeh Odeh, whose claim to fame is that she's a terrorist who was convicted in Israel of blowing up a supermarket and killing 2 Israelis.
Right, and I believe Rasmeh Odeh was also convicted of trying to bomb the British embassy there.
That's right.
And then she committed immigration fraud, actually, to even come to the United States. She lied on her immigration papers, didn't bother to mention that she was a convicted murderer. Now she's set to be deported to Jordan, but in the meantime, she's part of the Women's March. She's part of telling us what we should be if we want to be true women here, leaving out those of us who are pro-life. Mika, the whole thing, it's completely messy here, but you're absolutely right about Sarsour. She was asked one time what her solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict was, and her solution was that Israel should no longer exist.
Of course, she completely denies. She says, she tweeted in 2012 that there's, quote, nothing creepier than Zionism. Well, Zionism is the belief that Jews have civil rights like everybody else, and that like any people, the Jewish people have a right to self-determination in their indigenous homeland. That's what Zionism is. And to her, there's, quote, nothing creepier. She also regularly lies about the Israeli-Palestinian issue. She's tweeted before that she wants to bring back a Palestinian state, ignoring the obvious historic fact that there's never been one. But she's also far from a feminist. She's a faux feminist, a fake feminist. Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who is a true hero of feminism, a Somali woman who unfortunately was declitterized by her family in Somalia, who then advocates regularly to relieve the oppression of women in predominantly Muslim Islamist countries. Ayaan Hirsi Ali is a hero of feminism, and yet Linda Sarsour once tweeted that Ayaan Hirsi Ali deserves a blank whipping, and that she'd like to remove her vagina. That's what Linda Sarsour wrote about Ayaan Hirsi Ali. That's what a feminist writes? It's impossible.
Right, it's absolutely awful. It's shocking some of the things that she says, and it's even more shocking to me some of the women that go out and support her, or this organization that invites her without researching this. She does. She claims to be one of the leaders of feminism. I want to read one of the things that she said about Israel and about feminism. She said, and I quote, "There is no room for people who support the state of Israel in feminism." What does she consider, Mika? What does she consider Jewish women?
I mean, it's truly incredible. So Linda Sarsour has actually tweeted before defenses of Saudi Arabia's ban on women driving, right? She's written things like, in Saudi Arabia, women have 10 weeks of maternity leave, but we're worrying about them driving. So she writes excuses for a country like Saudi Arabia where women can't drive, where a woman's not allowed out of her house without her husband, where a woman can't apply for a passport without her husband's permission. I mean, all kinds of things that are clearly not feminist, and certainly women have no real rights in Saudi Arabia. Yet at the same time, she says that you can't support the state of Israel and be a feminist. The state of Israel, a place where a woman has been prime minister, a woman has been the chief justice on the Supreme Court, a place where women are the valedictorians of medical schools. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
And also, I mean, she basically proposes that women are victims here. And if we want to talk about victims here, let's talk about the Jewish women that are victimized by the Palestinian terrorists every single day. The women who lose their family members because they're killed by Palestinian terrorists every single day. Somehow, to Linda Sarsour, that is not a problem. And Mika, this is what I've been saying ever since, the liberals have been propping up the Women's March, ever since we saw that protest take the streets the day after President Trump was elected. These people, the Women's March, especially the organizers of it, they're hypocrites. They pretend to support women. They pretend to stand up for women. They pretend to promote women's rights, but they're liars. All they're doing is using emotion to rile women up, and then they try to use us as political pawns to push their radical leftist agenda, which is not pro-women. They claim to care about women, and they don't. And this woman is a perfect example of that. Mika,